Hey there, everybody. Today we're going to work on Chapter 7, and it shouldn't be too long. It's mostly just going to be text formatting and then a few drawings, so we'll get right into it. So the first one, Exercise 1, is going to just be some text boxes, and we'll fill them with some actual text. So it doesn't really say much, so we basically get to choose between multi-line and single line where we want to. So I'm just going to start typing in all this stuff, and then we'll play with the formatting after. But to be even lazier, I'm going to copy this. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. So there's 5, 6, 7. That one's good. Now, I didn't even mention it, but in symbols, whenever I click that to add a degree symbol, it actually gives you the shortcut. So I can always put in %D degrees. And if you notice, %C is diameter. Alright, so this one we're just going to have to make a little longer. And we need to make it underscored. So I'm going to select all of it, choose U, underline, or I could also type in Control U. And I'm going to choose the O. Choose O and U, underline and overline. And I guess we'll space these out a little bit. Since it doesn't give any information, we'll kind of just do it by eye. That one's not too good. Well, it's grabbing a random spot, so we'll just do a move command. Okay, it's not perfect, but you get the idea. I'm going to shrink my rectangle a bit to make it comparable in size. Now I'm going to copy this one again, since we have a better size. Okay, so next part, we're going to make text and then choose some specific options for it. And I believe these can all be done with multi-line, but let's check and see. Unfortunately, my caps lock doesn't work, so I have to hold shift while I do this. Okay, so this one says center point, so we should be trying to make it centered. And then should be middle center. There we go. So now our center point is there. And it's roughly in that corner. Need it to be a little bigger. Okay. So this one's going to be top middle, top center. For now, if you're having problems, you may just have to turn off your actual snap in order to make it work right for you. Okay, so this one's bottom left. And finally, top center format. Now you may have noticed this one earlier, I didn't have to make it centered. It could have just been default. It doesn't make a difference in this case. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's move on to exercise 3. Alright, so this one, you were tasked with making a bunch of different styles and then making text with. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into the Annotate tab and hit the drop down on the text. And we'll say new. And let's call this one, I'm going to make a style for each one, even though technically I wouldn't have to. But you know, get right into it. So now this one's selected, the new one I just made. We'll choose Roman C font. Not romantic. Very close though. Make sure that's the one. I've never seen the SHX at the end. So okay, so then there's that, and then the text height is given as 0.25. So we'll hit apply. And then let's go ahead and just keep making these. We'll make every one of them so it's easier just to throw them in as we go. Alright, so this one got some crazy stuff going on. We'll just call it italic width, since it's not really very clear what's going on there. Alright, so it doesn't give us a change of font, so we'll assume that it's still Roman C. Keep the 2.5. The width factor will change to 1.5. And the oblique angle is 10 degrees. So plug that in as well. And there should be an italic option. Oh, you know what? We have to just apply italic as we are typing. Okay, so then Romans. No, it doesn't appear to be the same. Let's see. Yeah, we'll roll with it. So the width factor needs to be back at 1. That's what it was. So if you're making these like I am, you'll have to change these back to the defaults every time. Alright, so it's just Romans, nothing crazy. So we can hit apply. Go ahead and make Roman D backwards. Apply. And let's see. This one's hard to read. Italic upside down. Okay, so instead it's going to be upside down. And apply. And last but not least, vertical text. It doesn't say what the font is, so we'll assume it's italic. If it doesn't look right, we might change it. Okay, so we'll just apply, close. I'm going to write all these texts out, and then we'll play with each one. I believe the last one may have to be that style. So, okay, actually, you know what? We'll do it this way. So turn on your text command and choose the drop down up here on the Annotate tab. Choose on the text panel, text style drop down. You can actually choose which one you're doing. So the first one we need is Roman C font. And we'll just type what it says. Okay. Did not take our choice, so we'll just do that again. Okay, so choose the drop down, choose italic width. And again, it's not taking our drop down, so maybe it is. Okay. Okay, so there's that. Now, one thing we still need to do this is select all of it and not choose italic. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so this one must not be Roman C. So let's try just a default one of what was this one? Arial? Yeah, let's try Arial. Okay, yeah, so use the default of Arial and then use italic. Or bad idea. Maybe there's a font called italic. Let's take a look. Yep, okay, there's the solution. Cool, cool. Okay, so moving on. One in Roman's font. Roman S, so we'll choose it. And just to make sure it's choosing it. All right, it did. Now, I believe for this one, we'll have to do single line, but let's try first just to confirm. So, should be Roman D backwards text. And I'll have to change it. Okay, now you see, it did not go backwards when I chose it. This is because we need it to be single line. So, I'm going to go ahead and do a text height of 0.25. Paste that in. Change it to Roman D backwards. And there we go. As you see, it's a little more complicated because you have to go in and plug in the text height as you're placing it, and then a rotation angle, but it works all the same. All right, so we'll do the same thing, doing another single line, and do italic upside down. so let's change that. There's that one. And I believe this one will also be single line. Okay, so I wonder if you can do it as multi-line. Let's just check that and see. Okay, yeah, so that's the way we want to go with this. That way we can change the box height. And it looks like what they did was put a hyphen after this T. I don't know if that'll make a divide or if we'll have to hit enter, but let's check and see. Definitely not like beautiful or anything, but so I guess from here we could give another enter, space it out a little bit. It appears to have quite the gap, so we'll do another enter. Huh. Okay, so we have 1, 2. All right, let's spread it out a little more. I'll tell you, the spacing is definitely not perfect. As you see, we've got one gap between each. That one seems different, but that's okay. Not gonna sweat it. So there you have it. I guess the last thing to do is just to draw a rectangle around all of it. As you see, this one's a little more metaphoric in nature. All right, so let's go ahead and do exercise 4. All right, so first and foremost, I'm just going to draw a rectangle that is 3.06 on each side. Then I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. That way it's going to be a vertical line from top to bottom. Then we'll go ahead and draw like a line that bisects it, so we can draw our center points. And they're all diameters, as it turns out. 0.8, 1.2, and 2.55. So I'm going to delete this. And 1.6, which is half of 3.2 over, is going to be where our circles are. We have a diameter of 0.2, diameter of 0.4, and a radius of 0.4. What I'm going to do is copy this over, 3.2, I'm going to draw another line from the center, 1.6. I'll copy it again. Now I know some of you are probably thinking we could do a polar array. We could. We're just drawing it a different way this time. Alright, so 3.2 both ways. Trim these corners off. Let's go ahead and delete these. Alright, put the center marks. And now we'll dimension it. We'll just let it intersect like this. We should be able to add in that square symbol. May have to find it though. There it is. Hit select, copy, and paste it in using Control V. There we go. You know what? Let's put a space in between it. Be careful not to do what I did. I topped over. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll pull it down. It's fine. All right, so now we will have see what's interesting is because we use that 3.2, it's actually not entirely right. Hard to tell, but there's this little overlap here. So what we're going to do instead is extend and do a tan radius circle and see what the difference is. Ah, I see. So what we have there is a bueno. The only way we can really fix this is to draw with the square as the basis and redo all of these. This is where you learn on the fly, isn't it? Okay, so let's delete all this crap, which has suddenly become garbage. And we'll make our little extensions again so we can round our squares back out. Alright, we'll trim it. Okay, so we'll do a tan radius again, 0.4. Get on the right layer too. Okay, so now we'll do our 0.2 and 0.4. Copy them around. And let's see what the width is now. And see, this is where they get you, because, you know, it all depends on how you draw it. But say I put it at 2 decimals, well, it looks right. When you move it back to 4 decimals, it shows that. So in this case, you have to be really cautious, just as I was not at first, and draw it the right way. So make sure that you go back and base it off of the corners. Okay. Now that we've fixed our mistake, go back. And start dimensioning again. You know what? Just to make it look right, we'll even put it at 2 decimal places. There we go. Alright, so got this, and that. Each of these will have 2 times in front of them. Alright. I did forget to add the square back. And I need to add in these. Okay, that's going to be it for that exercise. We'll jump on over to exercise 5. And it's going to be inches as well, so we can just keep using the same template. This one's a 2-part, so we may have to get creative with paper space. We'll see. So first things first, I guess we will start kind of just choosing a random spot here. The far left end, where it's 0.37 up, 0.37 over, 0.37 up, and again 0.37 over. It's 0.55 for that notch, and it's a diameter 0.64. And then again 0.55, 0.37, 0.37. Alright, a lot of repeating here, but we'll just keep it going. Actually, you know what? I think I'll stop it right here. And this will be our mirror line. Okay, so let's take a moment, draw in this circle. I'm on radius, so let me put that back to radius. And fun fact, you can do a poly 4 sides if you ever want to use the center. Our square is 0.27. don't know if that'll work or not. O is a radius. That's okay. So 0.27 divided by 2, 0.135. Let's do that again. 4 sides. Use a circle center point, circumscribe, and 0.135. There we go. It appears it's the same tab throughout, so we'll just copy one over here, rotate it, move it in place, and you know what? We'll mirror this too. So copy all of that, mirror from here to here, no, and now we've got another right there. Okay, actually I need to keep that. So from here, we can mirror everything except for these. You can hold Shift to deselect stuff in case you did not know. Okay, cool. Okay, so there's that. Then we can start putting our center marks. I don't know if you can choose like from a spot to a spot. You can, cool. So we'll do center line and choose the 2 center mark ends and start dimensioning. We'll add in that center mark or the square mark again. All right, and then 6 times this radius. Okay, so there's part 1. We'll just move it arbitrarily out of the way for now. Okay, so the next one we know is 7 long. Let's get back on the right layer first. 7 long and 8.5 the other length. Okay, so we'll move this over since it's gigantic apparently. Okay. So we can kind of do the same thing again and mirror part of it. So first of all, I'm going to draw a center line, if you will. And just for the sake of avoiding confusion, I'll actually draw it as a center layer. And we can say that 2 inches over is that circle center. And then 3.125 over is the end of that little rounded portion. And then let's see, I can go ahead and also put this 0.75 in for the end of that outer piece here. Okay, so that circle is going to be a radius of 1.13. Oh, dang it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And we might as well just extend this part and then trim the other portion. Make it object. And then we have a diameter circle of 1. And 4.75 divided by 2 is 2.375. Yeah, what the heck. We'll just go ahead and trim off this whole extra half over here. Alright, so now we need some tan radii up in here. It's going to be 0.25. Then we need some 0.75 ones as well. Okay, so it's starting to look like our shape. Now we can go ahead and mirror it. Make sure you select everything. And we're going to keep our source object, but we are going to delete these lines right here. We don't want to have any line segments that touch another one. We want it to be one complete path. So we're going to extend that. And then let's go ahead and put in our center stuff again. We've got that, and let's see how this works. Make sure you grab the square grip. There we go. And now we can dimension. Okay, so first and foremost, we have the 4 dimension. We have the 6.25. We have this one. I'm going to see if we can't just squeeze this one in. Uh-oh. Did I type that wrong earlier? I may have. I did. That's unfortunate. Okay. That's alright. It's nothing to fix. Alright, so it was supposed to be 0.75, and clearly it hit 7 twice. So 0.775 minus 0.75 means we need to move it 0.025 to the left. So we're going to select this and this. And these. Move them to the left, 0.025. This will lead to having to adjust these little grips here. On both ends. Probably my mistake there. Yeah, it's pretty easy to quote unquote fat finger it, so. Alright, so naturally we have to do the same with the other side. 0.025. And just to make sure it's good too. This is why you dimension clearly. It helps you to make sure that you have not made a mistake. Alright, make sure you don't move you're just moving the lines as well. Fillets need to stay the same size, but the lines are just meant to be horizontal. Okay, so as we were, alright, so we've got this guy, and And this guy, this one. I believe this one was up here. Add in the quantities. Oh my goodness, sometimes these textures don't want you to edit them. And it looks like we're just missing one more dimension. All right. Do need this one too. That's going to be it for this exercise. Let's move on to the last one. And it's actually going to be metric. Yeah. We'll start with the bottom left corner, since it seems to have the most information. So we will draw a line that is 50 long and 20 tall. I'm just going to go ahead and close it out while we're here. Okay, and then I will extend that line 15. This is where that little groove comes in. All right. So where this line is, I'm going to start here and draw a line that is 125 long. I can delete this original one. And there's different ways to do it. I try to show different methods for it. So now we'll go ahead and extend this. Close that area there. Now, 70 from the bottom to the top, and then 16 from the top to the hole, and 30 from the top to that little groove, which is 17 from the left. So we'll extend this. I'm just going to go ahead and move this all the way to the top. And I wish I had a digital copy of this book, but I don't. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and move this line up arbitrarily. And make it the same width of 17. So I guess I can go ahead and make this one full length too. And our hole is going to be 18 on this side. And the next hole is 89 from that hole. So let's go ahead and offset that. And I'll extend this all the way. So you can go ahead and draw those in. And they are 12. Copy it. Alright, so now we have the first part of this edge here. This part you have to be very particular on, so make sure that you go and edit your snap settings, your polar tracking, change this to an increment angle of 1. I guess you could do 2. It is a whole number, so let's do 2. It'll be a little easier. So every other angle, it'll snap aggressively. If you see, it's only showing the whole numbers. We want to get this to be 62. And I'm just going to extend it arbitrarily. Then we have another offset from the other end, 33. I'm going to do the same thing. So it should also be 62. We're subtracting. So 180 minus 62 is 118. So we're just going to extend it as well. Alright, so then from here, we have a tan radius of 12. So we'll trim out the rest of that V cut. Go ahead and trim this. We can do these lines. And it's starting to look like it. So we put in the center marks. And dimension it. All right, let's put in the 7. That's almost it. Okay, so we've got a few more. The linear ones are pretty mindless. We put in at least. Okay, so we've got this guy with 2 times in front of it. And I think that's it. Let me just double check here. All right, well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody.